And we will end with something that has been a little discussed on the forum. It is a Chinese forum member, I suppose that you are, if you're listening, that has come up with an idea that in the future, all Eurovision contestants doesn't only have one song, they'll have two. The person that is saying that is thinking about having first the singer will sing one song in the semifinal and then sing another one in the grand final. And this is a way for not being repetitive for those who are watching both semi and final. So what do you think about this idea? Is it something for the future of Eurovision, Calvin?
Let me answer first.
Okay, Matt.
First of all, how do you say no in Mandarin? Because the answer is a big, big no. I appreciate the thought and the thinking behind it, but it would make zero sense. Number one, when I'm in the semifinal and I vote for a song that I love and it qualifies, and then in the final they're going to perform a completely different song that I despise, I'm like, why the hell did I vote for them in the first place? And I'm like, no, that's not what I voted for. Then there is no reason for that. And they did the same thing, actually, in the German national final the past couple of years.
Yeah.
And it was a big mess. I mean, look at this year's result, or like in 2015, or even a couple of years. And I watched them, like in 2014, there was this one song I really, really liked. And that song, then they performed the second song. It was not quite as good, so they didn't make it to the super final, just because the second song wasn't
With
as
their first
good.
Song.
Exactly. And it's just like, it doesn't make sense. I'm like, I want to be able to vote for the song, or support the song that I voted for in the first place. And plus with the whole Big Five situation, what are they going to do? They have to go back into the semifinals as well, or do they get to perform two songs?
Sing a different song.
Yeah, it's just...
Which would split votes and make my brain hurt.
Exactly. I don't know how this could be really implemented. I appreciate the thought and keeping it, interesting every show, but I just don't think that's the answer.
Well, yeah, I think that it is something wrong with that. I'm feeling that it will be just complicated, and people will like,
Yes.
what the fuck?
Eurovision has held live music at its core for its entire history, and that is great, but it's still very much a song contest rather than a singing contest. And the idea of having a performer perform two songs to show versatility or vocal range to the like would put things like that in the forefront, and things like song quality and emotional power and things like that in the background, which I don't think is particularly healthy if Eurovision wants to stay focused on songs rather than singers.
Yeah, I agree with you. But what do you think, guys? Do you think there is some changes in the future of Eurovision that may come in the recent years?
A lot of people on the forum have been talking about the possibility of instrumental songs being permitted at Eurovision, which, yes, would take away some of the great live singing moments of the contest. But it would also mean that we could, one, avoid things like what Slovenia had to do a few years back, which was insert a very strange chorus into an otherwise lovely instrumental piece. And it would also mean that a lot of different genres could be permitted at the contest. EDM has kind of taken over European and also American popular music conscience, and that's a lot more focused on the instrumental. And having some connection between that and Eurovision would be great. And also, there's a lot of great instrumental music in the more classical instrumental sphere. Things like film scores and the like that could be showcased at Eurovision, which would be great.
I completely agree with you, and for that matter, and I've been totally plugging my demand or wish to bring back the orchestra, because the reality is, if we would have a completely instrumental song that is it's a track, it's like, why bother being on stage? You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, you just listen to a CD basically. So
essentially, yes.
If they want to bring back, and I'm all in favor of that, instrumental songs, bring back an orchestra to add that depth to it. Otherwise it's just silliness, and make it optional. Like certain songs, dance songs, they may not need an orchestra, and it may take away from it. But there are songs where the orchestra will elevate it, just like the one you were just saying. Certain ballads, like just imagine. I mean, Rise Like a Phoenix won anyway
with an orchestra.
With an orchestra, I'd be just like drooling. It's just exactly. So
that would be amazing.
I know, that's what I'm saying. Just bring back the orchestra as an option. I get it, their logistics issue, like whether space, financials, at least that's what they're claiming. But this is the year 2015. There are ways you can make that happening.
Get it. You can rent an orchestra. The other thing would be that if you required the orchestra, it would force a lot of entries to be really innovative with how they arranged things for the stage. Can you imagine something like I Feed You My Love or Love Injected with the orchestra and the Latvian or Norwegian broadcaster having to navigate that? I don't know how they would, but it would be extremely cool to see how they could. Plus, the idea of things like Tinkara having to mime her flute playing or Mireia needing to have the air violinist shows how absurd it can get when live instruments aren't at least permitted, let alone required.
Yeah, Slovenia is also experts on weird performances, but I have an idea. I'm not. I wouldn't be surprised if Christer Björkman will have more impact in this contest in the coming years, so that we will have 8 people on stage and maybe even recorded back vocals and such things. I'm a little afraid that it might happen till 2020 at least. But we'll see what happens in the future.
You're making references to Melody Festivalen, where all of that is
exactly.
Right?
Yeah,
Turning Eurovision a little bit more into Melody Festivalen kind of contest.
Yeah.
And I know he's been pushing for that. As a matter of fact, he's like, it would be awesome, but in the end, he's not the one making the final call at this point because he has to go through the the reference group, right? So, and they've been opposed to it. So I think it's going to be very difficult to do that. But you never know who's going to be on that board in the future.
Maybe do it. Melody Festivalen is a wonderful thing, but Melody Festivalen and Eurovision are 2 completely separate entities that people watch for 2 completely separate reasons, and I don't love the idea of trying to turn one into the other.
I agree with you.